Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 239 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we got a fun one this week. The whole crew is out at GP Vegas, so we are all together in our hotel room, gathered around with a pretty tired looking Krim. We woke Krim up. Literally, Krim was sleeping, but knocked at his door like, we got a podcast, there's exciting news. So yes, me, Krim, how you doing today? Richard, how are you?
I'm awake. I am very much so awake.
I'm awake. I woke up at 7:20, like, Hogaak is banned, typed it all out, ready to hit send, so sleepy, and then I refreshed, and I'm like, I did a double take. I'm like, why is this WotC list like 8 cards? And I'm like, whoa. Then I had to spend another 5 minutes updating my text. But big news, lots of cards.
Yeah, a pretty shocking BNR announcement this morning. I think, that's one of our big topics. Everyone was expecting Hogaak to be banned, but we got way more than just the GAC changing in Modern and changes in Standard and even Vintage, which we don't know that much about those, but we'll mention them. So today's cast, live from GP Vegas, we will be talking about the BNR announcement. We will also be talking about our GP Vegas experience. This is Monday, our last day in Vegas, so we're going to talk a bit about that, and I think that's basically the whole cast for today. So let's start with the exciting stuff. BNR announcement, we have 9 changes altogether. Half of those are Vintage, but Richard, why don't you tell us what happened in Modern in specific, but also Standard?
The reason why we're here is Rampaging Ferocidon is unbanned in Standard.
Finally.
Why did it go? Well, it was it was collateral damage to something.
Mono Red was just too good, I think. I think it was banned by itself.
It was banned by itself?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, well, for the next month, you can play with Rampaging Ferocidon.
Tech that in against Scapeshift.
So, I'm fine with Rampaging Ferocidon being unbanned. I don't think that it's actually too good, but why now? We're literally 4 weeks from rotation. Is there any point in unbanning a card when it's just going to leave the format in 4 weeks anyway?
Make the last month spicy.
Yeah. No one is playing Standard.
By making Mono Red good.
Yeah.
That screams spice and fun.
I mean, maybe not just Mono Red, but anything with red. You can now play that to hate out Scapeshift, or try to hate out Scapeshift. Of course, they'll probably be able to deal with it, but
also probably good against vampires. They have some life gain going on with the Sorens and stuff, so it might help in that matchup a little bit.
Although,
I guess Soren can kill it, but
I definitely feel you could definitely bring it against vampires. Obviously, I think the biggest thing is the players can't gain life part.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be bigger there. So
do you think for the next month is just back to where we were before, where Mono Red for Ferocidon main deck, or are we starting off with sideboards? We don't have much time to figure it out with rotation, so.
Or does no one bother buying Ferocidons because we got a month left? I'm not spending any more money.
I mean, I think it's
and the meta remains
50 cents or something. But
yeah,
it's already up to $2 on eBay.
Card.
Is it really?
It's $1.50. I mean, that's $6. That's like a booster.
I could still see it getting maybe a little bit of play in the last month, maybe in something like Jund Dinosaurs too. It's another cheap dino.
Wildcard wise, I think this will probably see play in Historic. At least, I don't think it'll see play 5 years from now in Historic, but for immediate Historic,
I
think this will be a fairly important card in Historic too. So maybe that helps a little bit with the wildcard price.
Yeah.
So last standard question, then we'll get to the fun stuff. How good is Mono Red going to be for the next 4 weeks? Is this a game changer? Is Mono Red suddenly boom back up to tier 1, or is it just whatever?
It's almost like M20 gave Red deck a hate card with the way this is the timing of this. So
yeah,
because how all the colors, all the decks got a sweet new hate card to fight some other matchup. Well, now Mono Red has another one. Is this better than Tibalt? Maybe. Because I would say so, because this one is a 3/3 body and also pings every time a creature enters.
And Menace.
Yep. I always, actually, I just forgot about the Menace right now. It's been a minute since I played against it.
Yeah, it's been a long time. This has been banned for a while now.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on Ferocidon, Richard? You don't care?
As someone who doesn't play Standard, this does not change my opinion. I do not want to rush out and play Standard at the moment.
When you do, though, didn't you play Mono Red?
Yeah, we did. I don't think we ever had Ferocidon when I was playing. We were lighting up the stage. Ferocidon was already banned.
So, I mean,
this was Hazoret days, right?
Yeah.
It does work well with Light Up the Stage. You can like get the ping from a
Yeah.
character coming into play or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, that's standard. And while that was surprising to me to see it unbanned, just purely because of a month ago before rotation, like that part, I was like, that's a little weird timing since it's leaving anyway. What really made my jaw drop was the modern part of our BNR announcement. This just happened very recently, a half hour ago. We're still soaking it. So Richard.
Wait. Since we're not going to talk about vintage because we know nothing about vintage,
Okay.
let's get that out of the way.
Okay, let's jump to vintage.
For
first.
vintage players, you probably are more excited than modern players because Karn, the great creator, is restricted. Mystic Forge, restricted.
The pizza oven.
Mental Misstep, restricted. Grave Troll, restricted. Fast Bond, unrestricted.
So I do know I play vintage a very little bit, but I'm definitely not super enfranchised in the community. But the vintage players I do know, definitely a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth over Karn and Mystic Forge. Apparently it was just like breaking the format. So from what I've seen, the reaction to that is good. Grave Troll hits under edge, whatever. Mental Misstep, I have no idea. Fast Bond probably doesn't do anything. There are combos for it, but I assume they're not like vintage level good combos. So it seems like the overall reaction from the community of vintage players has been very positive about these changes. So
Okay, I believe you. I mean, in a format where you play null rods, I believe a Karn is very good. I will take that leap.
It's also worth mentioning real quick on vintage. In the article announcing these bannings, Wizards specifically said like, we're listening to the community. We're having another BNR before Eternal Weekend, and we are willing to make more changes to the format. So let us know like where you want the format to be at. So if you're a vintage player and you're getting ready for Eternal Weekend and you think more changes are needed, make sure to get them to Wizards because they are looking for that feedback.
All right, now for the juicy part, the moment we've been waiting for. Hogaak, banned in Modern. Everyone expected that one. Faithless Looting, banned in Modern. Stoneforge Mystic, unbanned. It's like WotC read Reddit threads. They're like, which one, guys?
After what they last said about Faithless Looting, I didn't think that was going to go, and that's probably the thing I'm most excited about from this announcement. Faithless Looting is gone. Hogaak, if they humored us and just didn't ban Hogaak, I'd be like, all right, sure, whatever, I guess. But Faithless Looting gone, I am absurdly happy about that. I mean, I don't know, does that cripple too many decks?
Looting I don't know what to make of the looting banning. I've been like on the fence about looting for a long time. It does hit on a ton of decks. Some of those decks are decks that I am glad are like getting less powerful, but then there's other ones and I'm like, I kind of like Mardu Pyromancer, some of the fair decks that it supports. So I don't know what to make of this. Like, I think it's a good thing overall. It's definitely exciting and it's going to make the format feel fresh. One of the things they pointed out in the article is for like, I think the last year, basically all the best decks of the format have been looting decks, like one after another, just cycling through the format. So it's going to shake things up for sure.
I'm trying to think like, well, maybe this is now just like asking for a little too much, but I'm still surprised Ancient Stirrings didn't get hit by this.
So
I'm so surprised.
If looting gets the hit, Tron players have bribed. There's like a lobby group or something for Tron. Like they have somehow gotten unscathed. If I would have thought Hogaak ban. Okay, I could see that they do looting, but not the Hogaak. But then they were like, look, we tried this.
Yeah.
like, forget this. Because, you could just stitch your Splice Satyr Wayfinder and then turn 2 Gak anyway. Like, there are ways to do this, right? So they're like, okay, well, hit the looting, but turn 3 Karn is fine, guys. It's okay, no problem. And then, so people aren't suspicious, we'll just unban Stoneforge Mystic. Like, I think Stirrings would be up there. And what that means is for the next 2 years, every BNR will talk about Stirrings.
Yep.
I am a little worried, like, speaking of Stirrings, like, if you look at where the format is right now, like, Hogaak, gonna be gone. It's dead. All the Phoenix decks, which before Hogaak were the number 1 decks in the format, I think they're, like, more or less dead without Faithless Looting, or at least very much worse. So I think that maybe Tron is, like, the last deck standing. If you had to ask me, like, next week when we play the first big Modern tournament after these bans, what deck is going to be best? I think I might go with Tron. Maybe there's an argument for some other things, Jund or whatever, but I think Tron would be my number one choice.
I would definitely say, like, I agree with that. Tron's going to be up there. I mean, like, what are we going to do to, like, really stop it? It's pretty consistent. Turn 3 Tron is not absurd as it sounds, even naturally.
Especially with London mulligans, like,
exactly,
even more consistent. Yeah,
it's just it already can get there and like easily, and like having ancient strings to like fill up their hand with either another Tron piece or a bomb of their choice. I think it's gonna be pretty nasty. But what does this mean now? Like back to like looting. What does that mean when it comes to Phoenix? Like, because like Phoenix was, I didn't think actually Faithless Looting was getting banned, so I was like, all right, well, Hogaak's gone. So I guess Phoenix is the next best deck, right?
Like, how do you pitch the Phoenixes you draw?
Desperate Ravings? Is that...
That's the most terrible thing I've heard, Grim.
Or not Desperate Ravings, Cathartic Reunion.
Okay, I'm like...
Also a red draw spell.
It's good, but it definitely is way worse than Faithless Looting, I think.
It's so much slower.
It definitely slows the deck down at least a full turn.
It slows it a full turn, and it's 2 mana, so it makes it way harder to chain your spells together.
Yeah.
I think the deck is dead.
And it's, like, especially brutal if it gets spell pierced or something, since discarding is part of the cost, so you just, like, 3 for...
I mean, it's not... Yourself. Is it, though? You're discarding your feet. You might probably be fine.
But then you need spells to, like, get it back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say that Phoenix, best case, maybe it can, like, rebuild and be, like, one of the million tier 3 decks that people, like, can kind of play, and maybe more likely that it's just not a deck.
I mean... So yeah, like I guess there's like no replacement to keep it alive currently.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's replacements like you said,
right,
like Cathartic Union, but nothing really close to Looting's power level. I don't think.
I mean, so the deck slows down a turn, right? So it doesn't have those like ridiculous turns where it can go like Manamorphose and loot and throw away like Quad Phoenix or something silly like that, right?
And I think I think it's even worse than that, because then even let's assume you get your Phoenixes in the graveyard, it slows down like I gotta cast 3 spells thing. Like looting is really convenient to be like, okay, looting, cantrip, 3 cantrips, get everything back. If you're using like a 2 mana spell there, that slows down the deck further as it goes along the curve too, and you can't flash it back, so you don't get that like late game reason, like hold on to my lands and I'm always getting action because I can flash back my looting.
Yeah. So. Looting gives you something to always do. Right? Like, you don't usually want to be flashing back looting, but you can. But Reunion's one shot.
And
the flashback is definitely going to hurt.
What if they print Cathartic Reunion as flashback?
That once again, you know what? Desperate Ravings, that has flashback.
RNG, right? I hope you hit 1 Phoenix.
I'm going to predict now that we get a red careful study in Throne of Eldraine very soon. Like a looting replacement.
No, please no.
Because
without like a powered down version, but
it's just a non-flashback.
Similar.
What if they just literally give careful study?
That'd be fine.
Because I mean,
yeah,
I think WotC's done with the graveyard. I mean, they've used the birthing pod argument, right? Like maybe we can ban enough pieces around this, but every time we have anything that deals with the graveyard, looting is gonna mess it up, right? You know, we see this, right? Delve, broken. Hogaak, I guess, is Delve Convoke, right? all of their mistakes are like free mana, and usually these free mana things have to do with the graveyard. So I think WotC is done with the graveyard. You'll get like a 1 card careful study or something, right? To like maybe work really hard to make it work. But I think they're done with the graveyard, and I think it'll be a while. Like in 2-3 years, they'll come back to it. Like like Grave Troll was banned. And then they're like,
unbanned.
It's been long enough. Maybe you have tools to deal with the graveyard now. And they're like, oh, oops. Right?
Ban it again.
Oh, oops. Right? Like, I think it'll be a while. I don't think they're going to do it anytime soon.
So, on the Faithless Looting conversation, we talked a little bit about Phoenixes. We obviously, Hogaak is dead. The next 2 decks up, as far as looting decks, Dredge and Mardu Pyromancer. So what do you think about Dredge in a non-looting world? I think that might be one of the graveyard decks that can adapt the most easily and continue to be good without Faithless Looting. Because all you care about is getting cards in your graveyard by any means possible. You already see like Shriekhorns and like really seemingly bad ways to do it, but they're fine in Dredge because all you care about is just getting stuff in your graveyard. So do you think Dredge can just add in something else to replace looting and be fine?
I think that it could. I mean, it, like you said, it just needs to get cards in the yard, and then its enablers, if you will, and then just, dredge for the rest of the game, and then just try to find loam and stuff like that. So I don't think it needs the looting. I think it can still be a deck post-looting.
I think it'll be really good. Because I don't think it needs looting at all. Like, they usually just want that stupid Shriekhorn thingy.
Yeah.
I played Dredge for 2 matches at the Grand Prix. I'm now an expert. I played the actual deck, right? So
against it.
No, I played with it. I used it, right? And here's the thing, right? The minute we see this announcement, I thought, thank God I can free up 6 sideboard slots, right? And everyone else will do the same thing. And then what happens? Dredge spikes a tournament.
Yep.
Right? So I believe everyone will go nuts removing their graveyard hate, and then this will happen, right? Because why do you need graveyard hate now? No Phoenix, no Hogaak, right? I'll just probably put a surgical or something. It'll be fine, right?
There's always something in the graveyard, though. I'm just too suspicious. I guess I respect.
I don't think you're gonna pack 4 ley lines anymore, right? You're not gonna pack.
Crim might, but I think in general.
Don't try to catch me slipping, because I know there's always something broken with the graveyard.
So I think Dredge. Well, what does Dredge's Tron matchup look like? But I think Dredge will be sneaky good because everyone will just forget about it.
Yeah, so Dredge, in a weird way, might actually get better with Faithless Looting being banned because
let's
of
not
the
go crazy
changes.
Maybe we just go back to 4 ley lines.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it definitely still plays the game plan of just prize amalgams and 2/1s from Bloodghast and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't even know if do they keep Vengevine?
I do.
No,
pretty sure they
usually
will
isn't.
not. Vengevine, it's
yeah.
mostly a Hogaak.
Here's the
thing.
question. What do a bunch of 3/3s do against a 4/4 Vigilance lifelink that comes back? Because Stoneforge is on the table, boys. Maybe this just stuffs Dredge, because do all you want. I have lifelink.
There is now the chance to play Cobblade. I can actually just rebuild Cobblade from Standard and see how it goes. But I don't know. I don't think the 4/4. Okay, there'll be in the fair grindy matchups. It's going to be a little disgusting if you don't answer the Stoneforge immediately, right?
Yeah.
It will end. It will end the game in that matchup. But we have a lot of answers now. We have Assassin's Trophy in the format, so it's not like Jen is gonna be like, oh no, 4/4. That you know what I mean?
I was telling Seth that's a 3-for-1 if you Assassin's Trophy something of theirs. I actually think it will be impactful, but it won't be the end of the world. It'll be like Jace was impactful, because I was trying to go over what are the best things you could do with this thing. Well, what if you Hex Drinker on turn 1?
Okay.
Right? And then you get a sword on turn 2.
Okay.
Right? And you equip the sword to your Hex Drinker such that it blanks whatever removal they have.
Right.
And then you basically make True Name Nemesis. And you win.
I have to stop you, though, because I think you died.
Yeah. Also, remember, you are now loading your deck up in Modern, where you need a bunch of answers, or either a bunch of answers or solid threats. But now you've loaded it up with random swords and things that are very slow.
You play 2 swords, 3 swords. Right? Not swords, but equipment. So a batter skull and a sword is the minimum. And in Legacy, you play Jite. You don't have a Jite. So either you go 2 swords or...
Double batter skull, I guess?
No, you don't...
A sword.
You don't want batter skulls.
I think probably fine.
So Fire and Ice is the go-to sword.
But the protection colors of Light and Shadow are pretty solid.
It is. But, so here's... In Legacy, you go Fire and Ice for the cards and for the anti-Jace. Right?
Yep.
And in this case, anti-Teferis, all of them.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Or you go Light and Shadow, and then the only thing that can kill your creature is Bolt. But if you put it on anything legitimate, the Bolt is not going to kill
blanked.
it. Right?
Yeah.
But then the Light and Shadow doesn't really win you the game. Right? It's gain 3 and get a creature back. It's not as hard-hitting as...
Right.
But I was talking to Seth, I think Sinew and Steel is the dark horse here, because it snipes an artifact, which would be the opposing Batter Skull, and you have pro black so you can go through the germ, and it snipes planeswalkers like your Teferi.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So actually, I think it's pro black, so all the black removal doesn't hit it, and it's pro red. So I think it actually might have a chance of being played. I think it actually could do something.
Does it go, what, are you saying Abzan mid-range?
So you have Abzan, right? But so the thing you want to do is Lingering Souls, so that after your Stoneforge dies, you have a bunch of equipment, you equip things. But now we have Plague Engineer. So I don't know if that's good anymore.
Right.
The other thing is maybe you go into a Death and Taxes style deck. You play Giver Runes, I don't know, right? You Thalia them, right? And then you Batterskull them. Something like that. You could try Maverick. You can try like ramping up. The interesting thing is people are playing Assassin's Trophy, and if that's what you're using to kill the Stoneforge, that lets you hard cast the Batterskull, right? Like,
no. At that point, I think, do you even target the Stoneforge, right? Like, if you can't kill it, like, if your only way to kill a Stoneforge is with an Assassin's Trophy, I just blow up the artifact you get.
Yeah, well, what if I get a sword, right? Like, you know, you have options. You have options, right? But now I have another one, you know, like, I don't know, right? Like, so I think those style decks, I don't know if Absent will be good, but I think Lingering Souls might be coming back. Like, how many Plague Engineers? You really gonna main deck Plague Engineers? I don't know.
I mean, I know I definitely sideboard a ton of them, but
yeah.
I'm wondering here, like, what deck can that go in? I don't know. Like, is Stoneblade, like, you could try to, like, emulate, like, some kind of, like, you know, port over,
like Legacy, yeah.
into Modern?
You're a grindier Jund. Like, that's the idea, right? Like, you play...
But what do you
things? But the difference now is you have Seasoned Pyromancer, right? Which does an impersonation of Lingering Souls, right? More bodies.
Okay, so Mardu mid-range? I mean, we already have Mardu Shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could try to do that, but...
I mean, the whole idea is you have a Batterskull.
Yeah.
That's, like, immortal. But with Assassin's Trophy, Kolaghan's Command.
I guess Kolaghan's Command gets really popular again, though.
Yeah.
If Stoneforge takes off.
Yeah.
Because now...
Stoneforge and Batterskull.
Yeah, exactly. You let them put it into play and you blow both up.
Yeah.
I feel the most natural home would be, like, a white-based aggro deck.
It's like a Death and Taxes.
Yeah, like, so like the Hate Bears deck.
Something like that, yeah.
Because all of our mid-range decks, like... Are fine. Like, we can go long already with Bloodbraid and things like that, or, you know, we have Goyce, which is a 4/5, it actually just stops a thing. And it's not like Legacy where you just get a GT and you, like, win, right? Like, if you get a Batterskull in a fair matchup, you're like, okay, right, here's a 4/5 Goyf, or a 5/6 Goyf most likely.
Right.
It's the GT that really makes you lose in those matchups, and there is no GT here. So, fair matchups, like, no one really cares about this.
Yeah. I guess I'm like... yeah... vehicles don't count, so you can't grab a
like
vehicle.
Against control, the scariest thing you would see is I grab a Fire Nice and I equip it somehow, and then you're down to Path to Exile. Like your Jaces, your Teferis, all those things don't deal with the creature anymore.
No, yeah, it doesn't deal with the creature, and like it feels bad having to, like, obviously if I go play it, bounce your sword,
Yeah.
right? So that'll feel pretty bad.
I think my initial thought was that Stoneforge was just too slow for the format, but combined with the Faithless Looting banning, like, maybe that helps a little bit. I'm still not convinced it's going to be... I'm still not convinced it's going to be, like, a staple. I think, like, it probably will have a deck, but I'm not expecting it to become, like, one of the most played cards in the format.
It's a staple in the way that Goyf is a staple, right? In the sense that if you play a green-based mid-range deck, you have a Goyf. So now you can play white-based, but what does white give you? Rest in peace. Yeah. Right? It gives you Path to Exile.
Yeah.
Right?
Good sideboard.
It gives you
Silence and such.
Yeah.
Lingering Souls. But do you need Stony Silence? You have Collector Oof. Right? I don't know. There's not too much reason to play white nowadays.
Yeah, I guess, Death and Taxes is not a super popular deck. I'm curious.
Board wipes.
Criminus board wipes.
I'm just saying.
Teferi's white.
Teferi has white in it, but board wipes. I mean, I don't think I'm going to play it, at least not in my immediate list, like, of control.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I wanted to see, because a couple of announcements ago, there was a lot of conversation about Stoneforge, and Wizard said, blue-white control is already doing really well, so we don't want to unban it. So that was, like, in Wizard's mind, they were thinking this is, like, a card that's going to go into blue-white-based control decks.
Would you be playing Stoneforge in a control deck?
I'm not trying, okay... We had a little discussion about this before, but I'm not trying to load my deck up first off with like 4 Stoneforges and then let's just say even like 2 to 3 like equipments, right?
Yeah.
That's 7 slots in my deck that really, when you're already trying to control the meta that is very wide, that is modern. So it's nice to add a clock. It's nice to be like, well, I'm not going to dirtle around and you know, like all of a sudden just destabilize. But that's at the cost of what? Am I taking out more planeswalkers? Like originally I was winning with a ton of walkers. Now do I take those out and just like win on the back of Jace and like a Teferi or something like that, and
is Stoneforge better than like Little Teferi and Narset or like all the planeswalkers that are running around?
I don't think so.
It's not, right? But you're not playing that game anymore. So what if I did this, right? What if I played Stoneforge's, the equipment package, and then Dovin's Vetoes and Spell Pierces, right? And Lingering Souls. Let's splash a little black in there for fun, right?
Blue-white tempo.
So now, no, what I am is essentially a blue-white mid-range deck, right? I'm not going to control you, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to slap down the Stoneforge Mystic holding Spell Pierce, right? If I untap, I have Dovin's Veto now, and I'm going to slam a Batterskull and kill you. And it's a mid-range deck with counter spells, which is the Legacy version, right? You're playing a mid-range deck, and you have Force of Wills, basically. That's essentially what you do, right? And you're not looking to end the game with like a Teferi emblem. You're actually
trying to
like a Jund type deck where you're trying to end the game, except you have some counter spells. But does Modern have enough counter spells that it matters? Like you have Pact of Negation, Force of Negation, right? So you play Stoneforge, they push you, Force of Negation, you drop a Batterskull and you go to town, right? I don't know.
I think Stubborn Denial is another huge one because you have the 4/4 Batterskull, so it's just like a one mana.
But if you have the Batterskull, you're probably winning. Do you still need the Stubborn Denial?
You gotta protect the.
I guess if they try to kill the Batterskull, usually you bounce.
At a point, there was that like kind of like that Azorius Hate Bears deck, right?
Yeah.
And it was pretty popular. Maybe that's the way to go with it. I don't think this goes in a control shell.
Yeah, it's a mid-range.
Yeah, I think you could.
But is that mid-range deck better than like Jund? Like I don't know. Right?
Yeah, they have Ren and 6. That's.
I mean, yeah, Ren and 6 is just better, right?
I will ping your Batterskull,
right?
I will ping your Batterskull for one and go ahead.
There's an inside discussion between Richard and I. So for those that aren't in the know. You'll have to ask Richard about Ren and 6.
I'm just saying, Jund now needs to put Kolaghan's commands in their deck, right? If this becomes a thing, what are the cuts to put that in? Because Jund has added a lot of cards over the past while, and now you need to fit in an old classic.
Maybe you just go to the 64 card tribe.
You
know what wears a sword really well? Strangleroot Geist. That's a great creature to get a sword on.
Can you imagine? What do you think about Strangleroot Geist, Richard?
I spent all weekend teaching Krim about the greatness of Strangleroot Geist.
Teaching me, by the way.
And Strangleroot Geist murdered his deck twice, but he had excuses.
I was not. Okay. All right. I didn't have mana.
But the crux of the argument was, against control, should Jund outgrind or out aggro? Right? Are you trying to go over the top with Ren and 6s and tireless trackers? Or are you trying to bolt their face and play Strangleroot Geist before they inevitably play 4 Planeswalkers and drown you in card advantage? Leave your comments. But back to Stoneforge Mystic. So we decided the fair mid-range decks are weird. Maybe you play it in a blue-white new archetype, but not really what we think of as control.
What about aggro? Could it be in a more, aggressive...
This is, the slowest, Naya Zoo. It's a very, by definition, this was a very slow...
I mean, I think we had, Boros and Naya decks in the past. Back when Stoneforge was in Standard.
With Stoneforge?
Yeah.
Was a 2-mana 1/2 that takes 2 more mana the next turn? Is this where we want to be?
Makes a 4/4. It does make a 4/4.
That's half of a Crashing Footfalls.
You can even put an Argentum on.
I wonder if the 4/4 is just completely irrelevant in the same way Goyf is irrelevant, right? People are playing Death Shadow, people are playing Tarmogoyfs. The 4/4 actually just does nothing. And that you really need it against, control as a recursive threat. Yeah. But control has too many answers, and then the unfair decks are too fast for this, and then no one plays Stoneforge.
Yeah, I think
the more likely scenario.
I think that's a possibility. Because it isn't very good against unfair decks. It's just not fast enough. The life gain isn't relevant. So, it doesn't seem relevant against Tron.
Sword and Sinew and Steel. You use the artifact hate. So we were looking of what could you tutor up, right? Because if you could tutor up a sideboard card, imagine if there was a sword that when you hit someone, it destroys a non-basic land. You would slam that into Tron, right? But the only sideboardy thing we could see is Sinew and Steel, which hits an artifact in the slowest manner. That kills Oblivion Stone if they don't have Tron and they had to run it out.
I guess they're tapped out. They have a map.
It kills Thopter Sword pieces, maybe. I don't know. Could you use this as a toolbox, something or other?
I know you're not going to be able to destroy an ensnaring bridge with it because if they have an ensnaring bridge, you're probably
maybe
not attacking.
they'll just play it.
swords are just so clunky. I think in general, like
they're the most efficient equipment, though.
Is this the best? Is the best case scenario, like you said? Just I have counter spells, and I've I turn 2 Stoneforge.
Yeah.
I hold up Spell Pierce or something like that, and then I just drop a sword into play. So then, really, I don't go online till turn 4, right?
Yeah.
So is that really where I want to be? Like, I'm thinking, what is the absolute best scenario? Like, right now, I'm thinking about it. You play your Stoneforge, it goes unanswered. You have, let's just say, Spell Pierce, or I don't know, something like a Bolt. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then you put a sword in. Turn 4, you pay 2 more mana to equip, right?
It's 5 mana. It's 5 to equip, 5 to cast, 3 to bounce.
Batter Skull.
For Batter Skull.
Oh, what are we talking about? Sword? Sword is 3 to cast, 2 to equip.
Yeah, so then it's like, let's just say it's 2 to equip, or 5 to equip your Batter Skull. I don't know. I mean, like, that seems like it's way too much of, like, a time sink for you. Like, I mean,
but if you pull that off, you win, right? Isn't that the whole point? Like, if essentially you put a sword on, you shoot their face, you draw a card, like, the whole point is you're supposed to win when this happens, right?
Aren't
So do you think you
just
win?
bet? I don't even think you win 100% either, right? Like, I'm not going to say that you're, like, in a very bad, like, a bad spot at all, but it's not like the modern levels of I win, right? Like,
yeah.
But as a fair deck, like, what is a better thing to do? So your choices are what?
I almost think even a Planeswalker feels better. Like, if I untap with a Planeswalker,
like Teferi, for example,
like a Teferi, for example, a Lily, and any of these Planeswalkers feel like it feels way worse to like if you jam a Lily on 3, you jam like a Teferi. It's like, okay, well this is pretty backbreaking, right? But if you're spending the next 3 turns or so trying to put a sword or a Batter Skull onto the board,
yeah, even just like looking at the Batter Skulls, like even if you have the ideal draw of like turn 2 Stoneforge, turn 3 Batter Skull, and leaving something up, like is that even good? Like that's the turn when like Tron is playing Karn. That's the turn when Grixis Urza is like playing Urza and comboing off and going infinite, or et cetera, like so many decks are doing such busted
so the
things.
ideal thing you need to be doing, you need to disrupt, right? The whole point is you disrupt and then you kill them. So you have to turn 1 Thoughtseize, you have to turn 2 Thalia or something to put them off by a turn or 2 to stabilize. Yeah, if you do nothing and turn 2 Stoneforge, because I guarantee you, it's like Control, right? Like you never just slam your like 2-3 mana Planeswalker against Control and like presume it resolves. It is gonna die like 95% of the time, and 5% of the time, like you got them. Your Stoneforge will definitely die. It will get pushed. It will get bolted as soon as you cast it, right? It's like what happens after that. So, against Tron, you're gonna have to Thoughtseize them, right? Like, or you gotta Thalia them, or I don't know, lean in Arbiter or Ghost Corner them or something. Like you can't just sit around, right? But then after that's done.
So like play a normal game and then in the mid game or the late game, then you're looking at like getting this infinite Batter Skull.
Yeah, the idea is like maybe they brought in a Dismember, right? And then, for them to stop you, they dismember your creature. Well, now it's a Batter Skull, so you can keep going and finish the game, right? Or you get a sword to keep drawing more hate cards or something. I don't know. But you have to disrupt them, right?
So a year and a half ago, Jace got unbanned.
Yeah.
Initially, kind of a freak out a little bit, like, oh my god.
I mean, Modern ended.
Yeah. And now Jace sees a little bit of play. It's arguably not even ahead of Big Teferi, sometimes other Planeswalkers, but it definitely didn't break the format. What are we thinking a year from now for Stoneforge? Like, how impactful is this? Is it going to be a staple? Is it going to go to the Jace route and we're looking back in a year and like, oh yeah, that's
I play
cute.
Spangaroo, guys. This is what tells you. It warps the fair meta, right? So all the fair decks will have to adjust around this, but then the unfair decks don't care. They're just like, okay, sure. I'm just going to go over the top of you. So whatever you're doing is not exactly relevant. It's just like my sideboard cards are slightly different. But the fair players are like, oh, okay, now there's this life-linking Batter Skull thing, and how do I deal with it? Same with Jace, right? Like, if you're Hogaaking, you don't care about Jace. But if you're trying to play Tarmogoyf fairly, yeah, I really care about Jace, and that card is dumb. Right? Like, so I think it's the same thing with Stoneforge.
Batter Skull, I mean, you can really embarrass the burn player in game 1.
They just skullcrack you.
I mean,
now they're going to have to play Atarkas and Skullcracks, right?
Can they do that enough?
They can.
Because
there's 8, right?
There's 8, but you got to remember they got to also have lands and like other aggression, right?
They used to play 8, and then something happened, and they don't play Skullcracks anymore. I don't know really why.
There used to be like Flames of the Blood Hand with soft play.
Yeah.
Too.
They had a
of
ton.
those effects at one point.
Yeah.
But then you load your...
I mean, it's 2 mana, deal 3 damage. It's not, like, terrible.
So I guess the question is, how fair is the meta going to end up after all this? Like, getting rid of Hogaak is going to make it fair to some extent. Like, that's level 0 is getting much fairer because that's gone. Faithless Looting, I guess, probably makes it fair to some extent. Is it enough for Stoneforge to be like a legit top tier card? It might be. I expect that for the immediate future, we're probably going to see a ton of Stoneforge because people are going to be like hyped and wanting to try it out. We kind of saw that with Jace too. There's a ton of just 4 Jaces, and so it's like 3 Jaces, and then maybe we go 2 Jaces.
Blue Moon came back. All these decks came back.
So I expect we're going to see like this flood of Stoneforge decks over the next like couple months, and then after that, we'll see how it actually like shakes out. Are you worried that we'll never get another good equipment, or do we already just never get good equipment?
Sword of Sinew and Steel. I don't know. I think it'll be as good as Tarmogoyf. Like, I think if you play, like, a Thoughtseize and a Liliana, you slot in some reasonable 2-drop, like Stoneforge Mystic, you always have a deck. Now, is that going to be the best deck? And I don't want to play it, but you will win some percentage of Magic games, and it will look legitimate, right? So I think Stoneforge is a real deck. Now, is it the best deck? I doubt it. But it will be a deck, and you will see people play it. Just like people were playing Tarmogoyfs when there were Hogaaks. Right? You're like, it's terrible, right? But you can still win, right? It's fine.
I'm definitely going to try Esper Cobblade. Like,
just straight up
deck.
Yeah, like actually just the standard deck with a few minor updates.
So with the actual Squadron Hawk.
Yeah, with Squadron Hawk. I want to try it just for fun. I mean,
Squadron Hawk is sweet with Jace.
I mean, yeah. Like, it could be fun, right? I mean, it does kind of what you said. I mean, it plays, like, because at that time it was Inquisition and Mirren Crusaders. Obviously, I'm dropping Mirren Crusader. But, like, I will try.
Taxes plays Mirren Crusader. Come on.
Okay. Well, Esper and Taxes, I guess I could make it into that, but try Squad Hawks again.
Okay, so you're going to try Cobblade.
Yeah.
Seth, what are you going to try?
Oh, I really want to try the Hammer Time deck again that I've been playing. Like, having Stoneforge to tutor it up seems really powerful, so that's definitely on my short list. I also want to experiment with Pure Steel Paladin. I think maybe that could be a way to make it work. More of a kind of like the mono white Taxes thing we were talking about, but with Pure Steels and Srams to go on the artifact plan, the non-combo like Sram and Pure Steel plan. So I think those are the first 2 that jumped to mind for me. More on the janky end, I don't think you're gonna like win a GP with them, but I'm excited to try them out.
I'm gonna try Abzan. No, Abzan, okay? And I'm looking to build True Name Nemesis. It's gonna have Hex Drinkers. It's the 4-drop will be Gideon. And we have Lingering Souls. And maybe we'll play Grim Players. But I really like Hex Drinker. And if I can get a sword on a Hex Drinker, it's probably over. And then you just have enough tokens to poop out that, you'll run them out of removal. You'll grind them out eventually, right? And see if Plague Engineer is actually good against this or not.
Is there anything else we're missing with Stoneforge? Like, outside of swords and batters?
So we talked about aggro decks. We talked about mid-range decks. We talked about control decks that become mid-range decks.
Yeah.
Is
there a combo deck that wants that? I don't.
Yeah, I mean that's Hammer Time, right? Like Pure Steel. Those are combo decks.
Those
that
are kind of combo
Stoneforge
decks.
But that's not like I guess
they're creature based combo decks. It's still combo-y. Yeah.
What if you're let's say like a collected company deck, or one of those creature based combo decks, and this is your sideboard package,
like the Vizier combo.
Yeah, but like, does this help you? Because you just have removal anyway, right? But like a surprise, here comes the thing.
Yeah, backup plan.
Or would you ever use this? This is probably too many sideboard slots, right? But like as the transformational sideboard in Control, right? It's too many sideboard slots.
I was thinking about that. But like Baneslayer and Lyra, like that's just 2 cards. This one I'd have to go, 4 Stoneforge and like even 2 equivalents? That feels kind of sketch.
That's so many. That's almost half your sideboard. That's tough in modern.
Yeah.
That is
I don't
tough.
know if I can dedicate that much to that kind of plan.
I think Sinew and Steel. I think it actually might be good.
I think like if Batter, Skull, and Stoneforge are good, like that might be the next level. Like if we see a ton of it, then
that's good. The next level.
Answer.
is Manriki Gusari, which destroys equipment. That's a legacy staple. There's also the land that knocks off equipment. Is that modern legal?
It is not. Tower of the Magistrate.
So you have Manriki Gusari in case Stoneforge is out of control. You always have that.
Sword of Sinew and Steel just seems better than that to me. And Manriki Gusari, it's fine, but I think I would just play the sword.
The secret of Gusari is you can cast equip reasonably and get your opponent, whereas with the sword, it's expensive.
And I think there's just we were talking about earlier, there's a lot of natural answers now with the Mulligan's commands and Assassin's trophies. So I think it's probably less scary than it was.
Yeah.
Well, there's no GT also, right? So when I think Stoneforge, I think Legacy, right? And even then, Stoneforge wasn't that good. It was okay, right? But the real breaker is GT. And if you haven't played GT, imagine if you had 6 run and 6 activations at instant speed at any time if you went into combat, right? Because a sword needs to hit the player, right? So unless you have evasion, unless you have trample, your sword could be chumped. Whereas GT was just did you enter combat? Yeah. And then crazy things happened. And that's what put Stoneforge over the top. We don't have that in modern. So you will need the flyer. You do need the trample to hit with the sword to get your advantage, which is a lot harder, right? Because you need your creature to live, you need to be able to equip, you need to be able to go through combat, right? That's a pretty slow thing. And then if your reward is draw a card and you don't have a follow-up, it's
draw a card shock.
You need a strong follow-up. So it's possible that it's just underpowered, right? That this is not enough and we need a GT to actually make it fearsome.
I think, we had mentioned though, if this does take off though, Colligan's command is truly just going to be just absurdly good.
So last Stoneforge question before we talk about GP Vegas. Right now we're at $38 in paper and 15 ticks, man. I looked at it this morning on Magic Online. It was $4 and now it's 15.
Oh yeah.
Could have made so much money if I just got a moto then and bought some Stoneforges, but anyway, $38 in paper. Next week when we podcast, what is the price of Stoneforge Mystic in paper?
I think it goes up temporarily. Bitter Blossom was
Bitter Blossom $100.
It was $100. Jace started asking for 200, right?
Oh, it was absurd.
Yeah, I remember it was just some ridiculous price.
Yep.
And whatnot. And then, it kind of lowered itself down. And, I would say after a month and a half to 2, there's going to be a huge spike right now. But after it's kind of, leveled out, I think it'll sit around what it's at now, probably. Bitter Blossom's, around the same thing.
Do you think people will invest this much?
Huh?
So a Sword of Fire and Ice is apparently a $70 card nowadays. Well, a Batterskull is $20. You can't just buy... It's an entire deck you're buying, right? It's not you can just slot this thing in. You got to slot in, like Krim said, 7, 8, 9 cards or whatever. Yeah, it's a hefty investment.
It's modern though. I don't know. I think modern players they expect to have to make that investment for their decks. So
yeah, and then you got to get the white lands.
You only need one sword, luckily. Fire and Ice, that is.
Yeah, Fire and
Ice. Or you can get them
Skull.
with the double Fire and Ice. I never saw that in Legacy, by the way.
2 Fire and Ice.
Yeah. It's theoretically you could do that, right? Because people kill your sword, and if the sword is so good, but I've never actually saw people play the 2 of the same sword.
Or just one of each sword. So
it's usually one of each.
The perfect one.
Like Krim said, you don't 4 Stoneforges and usually 3 equipment, right? That's 7 slots. You don't have all these slots to put
7 slots is 20% of your deck.
You're playing 30-something cards.
Non-land cards.
And do you know how bad it feels to have the Batterskull in hand as you cast Stoneforge? Right? It feels really bad, but you can get them, right? You're I get the sword. I'm they're getting a sword. I have time. Then you drop the Batterskull because you had it in your hand, but,
Yeah, that's the worst. You draw it, on turn 2. The turn you're about to cast your Stoneforge, you top deck, and you're
Oh, and then you need to remember how to play Stoneforge. What was it? You had to hold priority doing something so you don't get got, but I forgot what it was.
Oh. Is it? Yeah. I don't remember either.
With the trigger on the stack or something. I gotta remember. But there are certain things you had to do with Stoneforge Mystic to avoid interaction, which we should look up and tell everyone.
Some weird tricks.
Yeah. There are some tricks you need to do with Stoneforge and Batter Skulls.
I think it has to do with bouncing the batter skull. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. Like, you can activate Stoneforge to put equipment into play trigger on the stack, maintain priority,
Yeah.
pick up the batter skull and have it resolve
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
around interaction. Anyway, any other BNR announcement thoughts? So Ferocidon unbanned in standard temporarily, well, unbanned permanently, but only loose for a short while because rotation is coming. Modern Hogaak, Faithless Looting, Stoneforge, bunch of stuff in Vintage. Any other thoughts before we talk a bit about GP Vegas?
Why didn't they do this before GP Vegas?
Yep.
Think of what could have been instead of 5 Hogaaks in the top 8. Hogaak winning, unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
I still will defend Wizards' decision too. Even though it did take a lot of the hype away of the main event at GP Vegas, I really think that staying on the schedule is like pretty important. And I think I just don't want it to become even more ban crazy. And I feel like once we leave the schedule and people think, oh, if I yell out enough, Wizards will ban a card tomorrow for me. Like, or like something wins a tournament and everyone's like, ban that card. And we realize, like, I don't know, like when Lantern won the Pro Tour. And then Lantern, what happened to that? We haven't seen that in forever.
Humans at a point had people asking for a ban.
Really?
So I think like sticking to the schedule does have value. Although it was sad that Vegas, like the hype level for Modern was like close to non-existent.
Okay.
And I guess that's maybe a good segue into part 2 of our podcast. GP Vegas. We're still in Vegas. This is Monday, our last day before heading home. So what do you guys think? How was Vegas this year?
Insane. As soon as we finish this, I'm just gonna collapse. I've been up with adrenaline. We've been sleeping like 4 or 5 hours a night. We've been eating like half a meal, 1 meal a day, and that meal is McDonald's, so it's not like we're getting any nourishment out of this.
I definitely at a point, as you two know, have gone a few days not realizing I was hungry until like the end of the day, around like 10, 11 p.m. And then I have I taste like a cracker or something like that. And I'm like, whoa, I should have eaten at some point today. I don't know. We were so busy just this whole weekend, like doing tons of things. And because of that, just forgot to eat.
Yeah.
Did hydrate though.
Yeah. Oh, you have to out here.
Yeah.
So
hardcore hydrated.
So yeah, what was some memorable stuff that you got to do this weekend? Like, obviously, we spent most of the weekend hanging out at the convention center, meeting people. It was so cool to meet so many people, signing cards. That was awesome and super fun. But what actually, anything stick out as being like particularly sweet or memorable?
The command zone. I think the idea behind it was pretty fun. It was great. Like, I mean, just having a nice spot, like it shows you're acknowledging the like there was a huge crowd, right, of EDH players that are just like, well, I didn't really have a reason to go to too many Magic Fests, right? I mean, like, I like sitting at home, just playing EDH or whatever, and like, I'm not trying to go out to play the main event, and there's no real EDH side events that I want to go to, but now there's like a command zone, a dedicated area for it, you get like ticks for like beating, like other like a potential like just other personalities in Magic, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a fun place to be. No matter what you were there for, as long as you enjoyed Commander in some way, shape, or form.
So many Commander players. This Vegas, so Magic Fest Vegas is completely different from other Magic Fest. It's like a lot bigger. Like a lot of people use it as their like one of the year trips, like we do. So it's just bigger. But comparing it to last year's, I felt it was totally different. Last year's felt like a GP in the sense that you just go and your goal is to spike the tournament. If you scrub out, you play side events. This year, thousands of Commander players. They came with the intent of only playing Commander, nothing but Commander. And a lot of them were not like salty Modern players, right? It's like, do you play any other formats? Like, no, period, right? Not because of Hogaak, but just no, I only play Commander, and I brought Commander decks, right? And the shift you can see is quite dramatic. And I think this is going to tell us a lot about what's coming up with WotC products and things like that. It's clear that Commander is more popular, like the most popular format that Magic has. Like it's actually crazy because last year, like, it was like almost nothing, right? So like, I don't know how this happened or what happened, but Commander was just nuts this weekend. And so many people with sweet Commander decks.
Yeah.
So many people with really expensive commander decks. You know, we saw decks that were like fully altered. You played with someone with the whole Mad Max deck.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
That was really cool.
I played against somebody that had a snake EDH deck, and everything had like altars of like snakes onto them. Wow. And they were telling me how like every month they send another card to the artist to slowly but surely snake out their entire deck. And I thought that was great.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, we met a fan who made t-shirts for all of us. That was super sweet.
Yep.
I got a Blood Moon shirt. What did you?
I got a demon shirt, naturally.
What was your shirt, Richard?
Avacyn Restored.
Nice.
We got like tokens people made for us. We signed like a million things.
So many signings.
Lots
of selfies and pictures and so many just like really cool people. I think, and it was also, I was wondering because like last year, this was the first time we ever did like the big GP trip. So I figured like a lot of people want to meet us because we never done it before. So this year I was wondering like will those people still want to meet us? Is it the same crowd? And there were so many new faces, like definitely people that I've seen before, but so many new people. So yeah, it was super, super cool.
You did run into your twin also.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, apparently there was someone being mistaken for me.
Yeah, we posted on Twitter. It was funny. So we saw a person that looked just like Tomer.
Yeah.
We're like, there's a Tomer doppelganger here. And then we saw the Seth doppelganger.
There could just be like a generic brand. I'm just kidding. There's just a clone, right? Like everything was just the Spider-Man meme, like the one where they're both pointing at each other. I thought that was hilarious.
What were your favorite moments? I had many memorable Magic moments here. Before Seth came, I played some Oathbreaker with Krim. He Narset wheeled me. And then I proceeded to Grand Abolisher Cataclysm him after this to kill him.
Narset wheel, you drew the one card. I think the one card you
I
said
drew
was
I drew a Cataclysm, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, he's probably got counter spells, and then I drew the Grand Abolisher.
But I only had one counter spell, so I had to counter the Abolisher in fear of like, and hoping that just Richard doesn't have Cataclysm, and if he did, like, you know, he wouldn't cast it.
And then we played Commander, the Commander Party.
Yeah, the
They
Commander
gave us-
Party was wild.
Yeah,
by
so
the way.
all these players packed in, were playing with the pre-19, or the C19 pre-cons, but we decided to play our decks for some reason. We played with, who's it, Johnny? I think, like, MTG Lexicon, I believe. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. But he had, like, this really sweet Grixis and Taxes
Yeah,
deck.
Painful Quandary.
Seth was playing Brago, Krim was playing Animar,
Yes.
and I played my Sultai Precon and proceeded to win.
Okay, though you did win and you have the W in that call, I will let you know it was Sire of Sanity dunking on all
Guys,
of us.
I did so much work that game because you were taking the dude that manifests from everything.
Snape, yeah.
And it was going around the entire table.
Yeah, I don't know
Krim,
how.
if you need to upgrade your Morph deck, I have a pretty sweet deck that you can take some cards from to upgrade your Animar deck.
I got to play the Modern Madness event, which was really fun. I got to meet some cool people. But in the first round, it was on coverage. So the feature match, they had Dana Fisher come in, and well-known elf master, because I had the elf deck. So
Yeah.
that was really cool. She did an amazing job on coverage, and that was a really fun one. Also played like I don't even know, like 3-hour Commander game. We sat down to play, and my deck, I was playing Brago. My opponent's deck, they had like Kiker Storm that can win on like turn 3. Some like Joyra artifact combo deck that can win on turn 3. But the people, they didn't really want to kill me, so I kept being like, I think I might be able to combo, but I'm not going to try. So we ended up going like 3 hours before the game actually ended, and so that was super fun just to get to hang out with people and do that.
I think for me, my favorite thing might have been just hanging out in the command zone and just playing Commander. I think I played Commander for probably like 48 hours straight. And like the best part was at the end of the day when I got home, I still wanted to play more Magic. So,
Oh my god. It's like, you know, we go through a long day. I wake up, it's like 7 in the morning. And for some reason, Seth is awake and he's like playing Arena. And I'm like, dude, we just played like 80 years of Magic. And he's like, but I gotta grind. I gotta grind.
Gotta get those levels. Gotta complete the mastery pass. I need those exquisite sleeves.
Yeah, like I don't know. I mean, even after all that magic, I still went back to the command zone, and just like it was cool, just like meeting all the supporters and just seeing everyone's sweet new decks and stuff like that. And I was surprised. I think one of the things that happened at this Magic Fest was that I thought was humorous was everyone thinks like, you know, the game nights crew and all that, like everyone kind of rates their deck, right? Like through a number scale. And I'd get in my pod, sit down, and we'd be like, oh, one of the people we played with was like, I think my deck's around like a 5 or something like that. And they just like Voltroned us out immediately, and then we lost and got obliterated. And it's like, what is a 6? Like, you know, and then some people would overvalue their deck, and they'd be like, I think my deck's a 9 and whatnot. But outside of that, I got to play with my Drakaseth deck, probably better known as the Maw of Flames, and it did work. Turns out taking a bunch of extra combat steps and damage doubling is pretty fun.
Krim was like, my deck's a 5, guys. Don't worry. You're here. We're here to have fun times. Let me cast this, double my mana, double the damage, take extra combat. Oh, you're all dead. Good game, guys. Good game.
With that person that was pretty much incorrectly grading their deck was me.
I played against one fan who their goal was just to blow my Panharmonicons. They didn't actually care about winning, but they must have known how much I love Panharmonicon and thought it was funny. So I just would like tutor for anything and kill Panharmonicon and get it back. They do it again, yeah. Yep. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
I played a lot of Jund this weekend.
2013 Jund.
So I didn't update my list. I was like, I should update Jund for Magic Fest Vegas. And I'm like, what do I need? Okay, 4 Ren and 6s, 3 Seasoned Pyromancers, 4 Ley Lines. Okay, that's like $800 or something. I think it's like $500. I'm like, okay, no. So we played old school Jund. And actually my favorite matchup was, so I played another Jund player with the new Jund list. I'm like, I need to play you. Right? We knew each other. So Jund mirrors are awesome. Ren and 6 sucks in the Jund mirror. Yes, Krim. Yes, I think Ren and 6 is overrated. But the funnest thing was, I feel so bad for him though, because I played a fan. I think it was Kashant. I'm just butchering everyone's name, but he was like, okay, Hogaak. I was playing Hogaak. Hogaak's gonna get banned. Let me swap my deck out for Dredge. So he swapped out and he was practicing Dredge, and then he's like, oh, and then my normal deck is Tron. I'm like, this degenerate. So he wanted to play Jund, but he can never play Jund because it's so expensive. So we swapped decks, and I got to play Tron, and I got to play Dredge, and I had the time of my life. Like, do you understand? He was like, okay, Thoughtseize, Tarmogoyf, okay, Liliana, okay, and then like Bloodbraid Elf attack. And I was like, oh my god, this is so scary. And I'm like, JK, lol, Tron, Oblivion Stone.
Yeah. But that's how it usually goes.
And then I was playing Dredge, and I'm like, I don't know what you're doing over there, but I'm like just slapping amalgams and I don't even know what I'm doing. The funny thing is he had a blinged out Tron deck, so all his Tron lands were foreign and different art.
Beautiful.
So I'm like, is this Tron? Like, is this a power plant? Like, I can't really tell. But it was hilarious playing on the other side because, like, I know how it goes, right? And he was like, oh, I felt like it was in the game, and we went 20 turns, and I'm like, yeah, you sweet, sweet child. This is what happens with Jund, right? You always think you're on the cusp of winning, but it never works. And, yeah, I, like, double Thragtusked him, and Ulamogged him, and, Sanctum, get a Worm Coil, and then he's like, kill the Worm Coil, Maelstrom Pulse this, and I'm like, okay, and then I do another Worm Coil. It was like, it was fun, and maybe I'll play Tron.
Richard turning to the dark side.
It was Tron. So degenerate. It just doesn't matter what the other deck does, right?
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
It's so degenerate. I love it.
So yeah, any other GP Vegas stories or thoughts before we wrap things up for today?
All the creators we met. We saw Vince in real life.
Yes.
Turns out he photoshops his beard.
Yeah. It was not as good as I thought.
My beard was just like agreed upon that. It was the best. Like I met many of you and you all said it to me and I agree. I don't think you were kidding. Obviously, my beard was just the most superior. So thank you for everyone listening and acknowledging.
Yeah, I met so many content creators. Yeah, Vince, so many, I can't remember all the names, so many Commander content creators that I had heard of before.
I got to learn craps with Josh.
Do you want to
and Jimmy
give our audience at home a lesson on how to manage your account?
Let's go with this. If you're ahead and you're on a hot streak, actually just stop. I left. What could have been way more in the positive. I decided to leave with only $5 positive. So leaving with +5, still a winner in my book, despite how it sounds. Still a winner in my book. But yes, thank you for teaching me craps. And now I have a new thing to do in Vegas.
Anyway, are we doing fish mail today, Richard? Are we going to hold off till next week?
We're going long. Maybe we'll go next week, but fish mail will just be like, yeah, Hogaak's gone. Yeah, Stoneforge Mystic. Do we think it'll be good? We talked about that. So we'll cover fish mail next week.
Well, send in your questions. Hashtag MTG Fish Mail on Twitter, and we'd love to answer your questions next week. So anyway, I think that brings us to the end of episode 239 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So, Richard Krim, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming to Vegas. This was a blast. It was super fun to hang out with you and super fun to meet so many fans, all of you that came to see us and get stuff signed or just hang out and play Commander. So, thanks to you.
Thanks for
if
the
we
gifts.
didn't catch you this time, yes, the gifts, the t-shirts, the tokens, all that stuff. And if we didn't happen to catch you, apologies, and we'll catch you next time. There's just so much running around and so much going on. So if we missed you, apologies for that. So yeah, thanks for coming to see us. And on that note, I think this is the crew signing out from Vegas. We'll be back next week to talk about whatever else is going on in the Magic world. So until then, see ya.